So I'm here in Paris. I'm in the queue for the Louvre. It's mental. I'm probably gonna have to wait and queue up for like an hour. I don't know. But here's the start to my adventure in Paris. Follow along and practice your English.
So, I arrived in Paris just in time for a snowstorm. Proper snow. The kind that coats roofs, slows cars, and turns even the grumpiest building into a Christmas card. It had started just before I got there. So, by the time I reached Bercy station, the city looked like it had been iced like a French patisserie. First thing I saw, an outdoor gym in use. Guys training shirtless in the snow in January. Madmen. I was in Paris. You bring a coat, they bring vibes. Meanwhile, I'm wearing 5 layers and still questioning my life choices. Just kidding. I wasn't prepared at all. The pavements were snowy. Cars were crawling along like they were afraid to upset the snowflakes. The trees, those classic Parisian ones with the neatly cropped haircuts, stood there looking smug, branches laced in white like they had been expecting this aesthetic moment all year. That night, I went out for food, found a restaurant that said it served until 10 o'clock at night. I arrived a bit after 9. C'est Paris. The front of house there looked at me like I'd asked to sleep with his wife. Apparently, due to the weather and some transport disruption, the kitchen had closed early. Fair enough, but he could have at least apologised a bit. No apology, no smile. In the UK, they'd have at least pretended to feel bad before slamming the kitchen door shut. There's something very Parisian about that. Not rude exactly, just unbothered. Less bothered than they should be. They don't pretend to care if they don't. Both. Take it or leave it. There's always cheese somewhere. The next morning, bright blue skies, thick white snow. Paris looked like a postcard and felt like a fridge. But the sun was shining brightly. It looked absolutely terrific. I walked through the city a bit with a wry smile looking at the snowmen, the baby snowmen that kids had made. There's something about a snowy city that changes your whole relationship with it. You don't look up as much, you look down at the way snow hugs the corners of benches, piles on the tops of bins, fills the cracks between cobblestones. You miss the usual Paris mess, maybe. The cigarette butts, the wine bottle rolling under a bench, the questionable stains. Snow cleans it all up temporarily. It also makes everything slower. People walk slower, speak slower. Even the metro felt gentler, though still confusing. More on that later. But by mid-afternoon, I'd already noticed something. Tourists don't dress for the weather here. They dress for the Eiffel Tower. Even in the slush, I saw girls in skirts, heels, dressed to the nines, clearly heading off to take that photo. Meanwhile, the Parisians were wrapped up like they were in the Alps. By the end of the day, I'd already slipped twice, seen 3 snowmen, and been politely rejected by 2 separate restaurants. Not bad for 24 hours. And somehow, I was still charmed. That's the thing with Paris. Even when it shrugs at you, you still want to stay for dessert. By the time I properly started exploring Paris, the snow had already made the city feel like it was under a spell. White rooftops, snow-laced balconies, and the crunch of frozen pavements underfoot, like walking through a postcard from another era. I started with the Champs-Élysées and the Arc de Triomphe, because of course I did. That's how every cliche Paris visit begins, isn't it? But cliche or not, it hits blue skies, icy pavements, sunlight bouncing off grand old buildings, and all around that very specific kind of Parisian energy, like the city's half asleep, half posing. At the Arc de Triomphe, I took the usual photos, admired the usual architecture, and then drifted off in search of food. Ended up in a Lebanese spot, shawarma, in snowy Paris. Very global, very me. The metro was a puzzle. Not just a metro, the RER, the trains, the lines with numbers, letters, and vibes and smells. It made London's tube feel like a toddler's toy set, but I got where I needed to go eventually. That walk toward the Eiffel Tower always feels longer than you would expect. You cross the famous padlock bridge, which, for the record, has far fewer padlocks than Instagram would have you believe, but still a hell of a lot. And then you follow the river, slipping occasionally on invisible patches of ice, because of course the Eiffel Tower looks magical in the snow. But what caught my eye was more the crowd, especially the girls in skirts and heels, on their way for full photo shoots in minus temperatures, no gloves. Some coats, just content. Also spotted the Olympic rings, or rather the Olympic rings being taken down. Paris 2024 apparently still being packed away in 2026. Very on brand. We climbed up toward the Trocadero. That's the place. The one with the big plaza, the statue of the man with the bull, the perfect view of the Eiffel Tower, the crowds, the selfies, the wedding shoots, the works. It was chaos and calm at the same time. There's a rhythm to the way Paris arranges itself. Stately boulevards leading to statues, plazas giving way to monuments, bare winter trees standing like sentinels in the cold. Every detail feels intentional, even when it isn't. We passed what looked like an official building, big flag, can't remember the name. Turned around and there was this beautiful monument to do with Egypt. Turned again and went into a famous park, the Tuileries. That park in winter, stunning. A thin dusting of snow over the ground, green chairs dotted around like someone was halfway through redecorating the sky. The little lake was mostly frozen. Ducks waddled across like they were late for a meeting, and the people bundled up, chatting in circles, sometimes sipping takeaway coffee or just sitting there in silence, soaking in the cold sun. A group of students had gathered for a picnic. In January, in sub-zero temperatures, madness, beautiful madness. From there, the afternoon dissolved into a golden haze, long shadows, crisp air, streets still lightly decorated from Christmas. Paris knows how to drag a mood out. You think you're just going for a walk and suddenly it's a scene from a film. One of the stylish ones where no one says much but everyone feels something. The shops got fancier as we walked. You could feel the money in the air. Not loud, not flashy, just assumed. That's the thing with Paris. It doesn't try to impress. It already believes it has. The culture, the contradictions. Here's the thing no one tells you. Paris isn't trying to be nice. It's trying to be Paris, and that apparently is enough. You get the sense that the city knows you're here and simply doesn't care. It'll open the door if it feels like it, maybe, but it won't rush or smile or say sorry. It's not rude, exactly. It's just allergic to effort. Take the restaurants. The first one I went to, it said it would be open until 10. I turned up at like 9:05. Rookie mistake. The guy looked at me like I'd just asked if I could park my goat inside. No smile, no explanation, just a shrug and a very final no. I suppose there's a kind of honesty to it. In England, they would lie to your face with a fake apology while closing the door behind you. In Paris, they just close the door. Same result, less performance, but it does leave you feeling a bit better about yourself. Then the next day, a woman in a boulangerie gave me an actual smile when I said bonjour, and it was so unexpected I almost dropped my coins. This is what Paris does. It pushes you away with one hand, then hands you a perfect pain au chocolat with the other. It's not just the people either. The whole city runs on contradiction. Everything looks composed, classical, expensive, and then you glance down and realise you've been walking through slush and dog poo for the last 10 minutes. You turn a corner and see a grand museum, but the steps are blocked by a bin, overflowing with baguette wrappers and someone's unfinished Red Bull. Outside the Louvre, there are crowds of people queuing for the art, and then 10 steps away, a guy with no shirt is balancing a traffic cone on his head, both equally confident. That's the magic. Paris doesn't try to hide its rough bits, it just lets them coexist. You want elegance? Fine, but you're getting grime too. You want sophistication? Sure, but also chaos. It's not a city that chooses, it just adds another layer. Like the metro, confusing, crammed, and somehow still charming, maybe, or maybe not. Or the bridges, all historic and poetic, until you look closer and see the graffiti that says something like Kevin for Camille forever, scrawled in Sharpie across a 200-year-old stone. And yet you forgive it, you almost admire it, because underneath all the contradictions, there's a kind of integrity. Paris is exactly what it says it is. It doesn't pretend to love you, but it does look good in every photo. So yeah, Paris knows how to perform. It's the ultimate show-off, always ready for its close-up. Even in the middle of winter, even under snow, it knows how to hit its angles. And it works, it gets you. You forget the cold, the slush, the transport faff, because the street lamps are glowing just right and there's a baguette poking out of someone's tote bag. But eventually, the postcard starts peeling at the edges. You pay to stay in a hotel, then before they give you the room key, they require you to pay an extortionately expensive tourist tax. You try to cross the road and realise the green man is just a suggestion. You walk into a bakery and the woman behind the counter stares at you like you just spat on the croissants. You still buy one, obviously, but it's incredible, and she still doesn't smile. It's a strange balance, this place. At times it's exactly what you expect. Elegant, cinematic, achingly aesthetic, and at others it's blunt, cold and impatient. No filler, no sugarcoating, no time to hold your hand. Like when I tried to get the RER to Charles de Gaulle. Bought the ticket, tried the barrier, didn't open, tried again, nothing, no staff in sight. Just me standing there in the morning like a fresh croissant. First person I asked, a young woman. She looked lovely. Didn't slow down a bit. I asked her again, she sped up. I asked a third time, she jumped through the barriers. Polite, calm, totally ignored. But then a middle-aged man, looked less friendly than her, helped me out. No fuss, no drama, super kind, and sorted me out. That's Paris too, unbothered by your confusion until it isn't. Cold then kind, a bit of a diva, but with just enough charm to keep you hanging on.
So that wraps up our time in Paris. I hope you absolutely loved it, because I did. Like and subscribe. Bye.